After looking at everybody's work, we found that our drawings just needed some oomph to it. Oh, that's a mistake. So I found this Toy Story car wearing the cowboy hat that's kind of a combine, and asked what people wanted to have with it. So the answer was a trailer, and I've taken and I've cut out a trailer, and then I've created the Toy Story background to go around it. And the one thing that he wanted to do that, and I've isolated each and everything here on its own layer. I can see that there's a layer there that I need to flatten with the original. But there's the car, and I haven't done anything to this car other than cut him out by using the magic wand tool. So I cut him out of the web page that I found him on. And then I took this tool here, deselect, and I blurred all of the edges of it so that it won't look pixelized around the edges of the car. And we wanted a trailer, and the trailer I found was not a good one because there's no perspective with it that matches the car. It's going a complete different direction. So after I showed everybody that, I went back and I found a similar trailer, and I spent a lot of time with image, edit, free transform to put him in the right place, transform, skew, rotate, perspective, warp, and I played with it until it was warped right. So now it actually looks like that trailer is going with the car. The other thing that I did is I cut out the window and I found the Toy Story dinosaur and put him in the window. There's just one problem still. And this looks like it's made out of plastic, and this metal doesn't quite go to it. So my go-to solution for that is to adjust and posterize that trailer. And I can make it look a little bit more like a toy by losing a little bit of the realness with the posterized level. Here it is the way that it is. If I back down to, there's 24, 16, that looks pretty good. But there's one other thing that I can do, and I'm going to duplicate this layer, right click, duplicate it to show you, so I can turn it off and on. So I can try a filter on it, and there is a filter in Filter Gallery that looks like plastic wrap, and that's exactly what it's called. It's called plastic wrap, and right now it's very, very overly done. I'm trying to make it look a little bit more plastic like this piece here, so it's gone too far, and all I have to do is fade it until it gets a little of that toy car plastic feeling. So hopefully I can get it to the point that it looks more like it's made out of plastic. I think right about there is pretty good. And now I'll posterize it. And there I am, about 19. I think that looks good. It looks like it goes with it more as a toy by quite a lot. All right, and then the background I added in as a gradient. And here's your gradient bucket. Here's a gradient tool. I used a blue gradient. You can see, whoops, you can see it right there. And then I just came down the sky on a clear background. So it would look realistic, then I have to add a color behind the background. The clouds I put in from this little tool right here. There's a rectangle, a rounded rectangle, ellipse, polygon, line, custom shape. And as you can see, there's clouds, there's butterflies, there's suns, all kinds of vector shapes there. And so I did the cloud and put that in across that. The molding, I used several stripes of white and tried to blur the molding to look like your typical Toy Story background. That there's different clouds. All right, so only thing left before I add the realistic shadows. See, there are no shadows here. Shadows on the vehicle and the trailer, but no shadows underneath, is the floor. And the floor, I came in and used the bucket. And once I'm in the bucket, I can come up here, paint bucket tool. And you have both paint. Paint is foreground, so now I could pull out a pure color or pattern. And I use this pattern here, and then I've retransformed it. Select all, we're on the pattern, edit, transform, and I started by free transforming it to make it really big. See, and I can go bigger still. View, fit on screen. So I can make it even bigger squares. And then I use perspective. Transform perspective, which allows me to change the squares and make them look more three-dimensional. And then I click the arrow to apply. All right, so he's pretty good. He just needs to have shadow underneath. And this is my classic go-to solution for that. Layer. There's the layer copy with the trailer looking. So there it is with or without. I'm hoping that that one is more like a toy. So I don't need this bottom one. I am going to then, so that you can see it, I turned the top one out. I'm going to go image adjust to levels and make it as dark as possible. Black would work. But there's just one problem. Look, I've got clouds in that level. So I'm going to cancel. There's a quick solution to that. That's what I get for putting things on the same level. And I'm going to use this marquee tool and draw over the clouds and cut. Whoops, that didn't work. Good thing I can step backwards. All right, so I'm going to subtract from the trailer really quick. Still have the marquee tool, and I'm putting my mouse over, and that one right there is the subtract. So I'll draw another box, and now I've subtracted the trailer from the section, and I'll cut them, and I'll paste in place, and usually that gives you a whole new layer. Okay, so now there's the layer with the trailer. And now I can adjust levels and make it as dark as I possibly can. It's almost totally black. But look, there's a little bit of green. So now I will desaturate it. Image adjust, desaturate. And that takes care of the green. All right, so the next thing to do to make it be a shadow is to blur it. So you're going to go to blur to Gaussian blur. All right, so it is way too blurred there, but this isn't bad. That's kind of shadow looking, but look how dark it is. And these shadows here on the car are not nearly as dark as that. So we'll solve that problem by making them transparent. So on that layer there, we'll change the opacity. That looks about right. And we'll turn the other things back on. All right, so that one covers it up. So our last thing is to take our moving tool there and move it down a little bit. Move the wrong one. You have to be on the layer of the shadow. Sometimes I have to turn the other one off. See, because it wants to do that. So if I turn that one off and click on the shadow, I can move the shadow down. Oops, it's not. Step forward, step forward. There's the blur. Change the opacity again. Move it down. All right, so I've got the trailer blurred with the shadow on the floor underneath it, and it's an actual realistic shadow because it's exactly what the trailer is. And now I can do the same thing to the car. Right click, duplicate. Take the underneath one, adjust levels, dark as possible. All right, there's the black. Desaturate, adjust to desaturate. Filter to blur, it should be the same amount of blur because we've already done the other one. And then change the opacity. The opacity on the trailer is 47%, so I'm going to do the same thing to the car. All right. And turn the car back on. Move it down to match the other one. Move. Now the trailer and the car are shadowed, and I can call him finished.